Hi Pisces, it's Jenny and welcome to your April Tarot Horoscope. So we're just going to see what's coming up for this month, and gonna do the drill now. I'm gonna shuffle the cards, gonna pick something, and it's gonna be great. So I'm just going to see what comes up here. So for the first 2/3 of April, we're in Aries season. So we've begun the energetic new year, and then towards the end of April, we're going to be rolling into Taurus season. So we're starting with a fire sign in April, and then the end is going to be into an earth sign. So that's going to be the energies that we're working with. And we're just going to see what wants to come up here. Keep shuffling. Something takes a while. But we're just going to wait. We're just going to see. Be patient, not panic. There, how about that one? All right, here we go, Pisces. This is what we got for you for this April. Okay, we have the Three of Swords. So this is what it looks like the right way up. So we have these three figures here. We have this woman figure tied to a post, this sort of heroic warrior here, and this dragon being kind of slayed in the foreground here. It's all within the confines of this big dark heart, and then we have these swords here above. So lots of red, but also very dark hues. And let's see, swords is the suit of air. So we're going to see what we have to see for the Three of Swords. Three of Swords, conscious love. This is a very powerful card, an homage to love and to the liberating power of the mind. The card depicts a scene from the painting Roger Rescuing Angelica, framed by a big red heart. As ever, the message is ambiguous. Perhaps a great abyss is opening up at the center of your heart, or maybe swords are about to free you from affliction and distress. The picture is based on the classical motif of a battle with a dragon, a black serpent-like monster visible at the bottom of the big heart. The image warns against hurt feelings, old wounds reopened by the sword. The positive message is that whatever problems we may encounter, the weapons of the mind and the eyes of love will enable us to find a solution in a happy alliance of heart and sword. Most problems arise out of a separation of abstract thoughts and your real feelings. Obsessive views and rigid ideas refuse to be checked against actual experience, paralyzing your mental and emotional faculties. Like a thorn in the side, they are a source of constant pain and irritation. Give love a chance, including a love of truth and honesty. Shed light on your memories and expectations. Do not be afraid of painful truths. All wounds will heal if you tend to them. Practical advice: do not give up. Risk being more honest and authentic. Let go of your prejudice, pretense, and reserve. Feel the great relief that will be yours when your heart is set free again. Okay, so this card is a really interesting one in this deck. In a lot of decks, it just always sounds like a bad thing. It's always like, oh, betrayal or backstabbing or something awful is going to happen. And this card is, instead, this adaptation is really showing like this potential ambiguity here, but this potential for this great rescue, or this great despairing battle. And it's sort of the way that a lot of things go, which is most things that we encounter have a neutrality to them, and there's a potential to kind of take the highest step and to kind of achieve the most, or this potential to go this kind of more way of suffering and more challenge. So and then there's kind of a key, like kind of a clue of how you can go one way versus the other. So there's this sort of feeling of, oh, there's some sort of pain, there's some sort of battle coming up, but the sort of the option, the invitation to for it to be a victory rather than this like agony is this joining of the heart and the mind. So many times, especially in kind of modern Western society, we sort of have this dichotomy. Like Western reductionist society really likes to cut things into boxes and say, this is this and this is this, and these are the rules here and these are the rules here, instead of understanding that things are a lot more reciprocal and ambiguous and interrelated. So this idea that the heart is one thing, the emotional realms, and that's this thing we can keep in a distinct box, and then the mind is rational and clear and follows certain rules, instead of saying, well, even if those were distinguishable things, we as humans exist in both of those boxes. So for us, we can't be clearly defined mind and feelings as these separate things. They ought to be integrated. And the more we can integrate them, that's sort of this invitation that there's going to be this ability to like kind of use that alliance to overcome the problem and overcome the suffering. Excuse me, and kind of rescue the maiden from the monster. Of course, this doesn't have to be like, this isn't a gendered thing. This isn't like a, females are always needing to be rescued by males, and this isn't even necessarily an external event of you needing to be rescued or somebody coming to your, you doing the rescuing. It can be a lot more kind of internal and allegorical. And a lot of the time, this invitation is like, you're kind of all the players. Like, there's a part of you that is potentially like held captive, whether it's this kind of mentioned, held captive by rigid ideas, or held captive by like other people's kinds of opinions, or held captive by old kind of narratives of how you should be, or captive by, in this case, there's an example of like gender-based frameworks or expectations of power or weakness. There's all kinds of ways in which you might be chained up to something and needing to be rescued, and then you yourself can also be the rescuer and say, okay, like, well, maybe that's how I live for a while, but that's not really, that doesn't feel like my heart and my mind are not aligned on this. This feels like I need some rescuing, whether it's the heart of what you really, really feel connected to, and what you feel you desire is feeling like it's chained up, and you get to come in with your mental prowess and be your own kind of white knight and rescue yourself using your mental capacities and saying, no, I can figure this out. I can think differently than other people. I can think differently than my past self. I'm able to rescue my own heart, and then kind of bring us up together. And so you might also be all three characters. Who are you fighting? You might also be the dragon as well. It's your, we can both feel ourselves held victim and be in this sort of suffering state, and yet we can also be the one holding us there and refusing help, refusing ourselves to help us, refusing other people, saying, no, I've got this, or no, I deserve to be here, this is my lot in life, I have some sort of atonement I have to do, so I deserve to be chained up, and yet also desperately wanting that part of you to be defeated, to say, I really don't like this black serpent version of me that's holding me in this belief pattern, and that's defending, like, that's holding the rest of me captive. Like, it's almost like you are, in this case, obviously you're kind of all three players here, and if you can really kind of dive into that, trying to see which parts of you are resisting the rescue, which part of you is holding yourself captive, and how you can sorry, a little dry here, like what it is that needs to come in and be the rescuer then, and wield that sword to cut you out. This may be a little bit more literal and external as well. There may be other figures in your life, might not be all internal, so this can kind of go either way depending on your kind of individual circumstances. But that's sort of what this card is saying, that there's this tension, this battle, but there's also in the fact that this is sort of this fairy tale almost depiction, there is the option for the happy ending, the great rescue, and the slaying of the dragon. So you do just need to keep at it. As with most of those sort of fairy tale stories, they follow that arc, and there is that moment of tension where you don't actually know if the hero is going to win. And that's the point where you press forward. So there may be times where you are really feeling like this, what's the point? Like, I'm not going to be able to fight this. Do I even deserve to fight this? I should just be locked up here forever. And that's that pressing point of note. That's when you really hone into the mind, because this is a swords card. So it's offering you the weapon and the opportunity for this to be a mental game of, okay, just lean into it, really like work on those beliefs and solidify them, to kind of get that victory at the end. So that's a lot on the card. So this is happening in, so we're starting, like I said, beginning of April is Aries season, which is kind of has in a way, this sort of a great character to have in this kind of swashbuckling story. Aries is the warrior. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, and it's very, very connected to the self and the ego, but a very pure version of the self, not yet really tied to identity of I am this person, or labels yet on that identity. Just this sense of being and this connecting into the self, which is very tied into what the self desires. That inkling first, this spark. Aries is a fire sign, which is very tied to inspiration and impulse, but Aries is connected to the planet Mars, and connected to Mars as the entity, and the icon is the god of war. So Aries has this very militant inner warrior sort of connection, and the healthy warrior is connected to purpose, is connected to defense of value, and this kind of true purpose. This ideally this heroic sort of knight feeling is very connected to Aries. The dark side of Aries is just a warrior without a cause, just kind of lashing out and harming anybody, sort of that angry, selfish warrior that just wants what they want and is going to cut anybody down. That's not the energy that we want. But that is sort of what the pole can be. So there is this risk anytime you unleash a warrior. Can you call it back? Can you keep the warrior also on the defensive, and knowing when to not continue an assault, knowing to not seek retribution, to just know these are my borders, I'm defending them, I have a purpose. When the purpose is achieved, I'm going to lay down my arms, and I'm not going to keep seeking retribution. There is this, of course, risk of, once you slay the dragon, to keep searching for more dragons, of feeling like, well, that was a great rush, or I felt this purpose in the fight, and then getting hooked up on that feeling of that rush, of that power, and then seeking that instead, rather than I'm on a rescue mission to rescue all the maidens from dragons. It's anybody could be a dragon as long as I feel compelled, like as long as I can sort of continue this narrative of my self-righteousness. So that's a sort of thing where it's helpful to really identify what your goal is and what your kind of stopping point, your win condition is. When do you know you've won the battle? When do you know you have what you really want, and you don't have to keep going and fighting anymore because you've won? So this is going to be really helpful towards the end of the month when we roll into Taurus season, because Taurus is very much an earthy sign, and is connected to the planet Venus, and Venus is about beauty and more about pleasure. And Taurus as an earth sign is very connected to the body, very connected to pleasure, and connected to having. In a positive sense, that's this energy of gratitude, of receiving, of being joyous with the gift and reveling in the joy of what receiving a gift can give, and that sort of pleasure. The dark side is being too luxuriant, and also being kind of greedy, like hoarding. So in this sense, instead of the dragon as being the captivator, this is like the dragon that's the hoarder. That's like, all of my stuff, I want it. I don't feel secure unless I have it. So we're looking for the sense of gratitude, this joy of, I'm so pleased with what I have, and it makes me feel so secure and safe, and I just feel rich, and I have such gratitude, rather than it's mine, I need it, and I'm not going to feel safe without it. So if we can connect to that gratitude aspect, that's kind of like finding your win condition, of when we've unleashed this kind of Aries warrior in defense to rescue whatever part of ourselves is feeling kind of shackled up. But you need to know when you've received victory, and then you get to step in towards the end of the month to this Taurus energy of receiving, of, okay, what did victory give me? What do I get to, what part of me now that is released from these shackles and can enjoy this freedom? What's that richness that now I get to feel and really enjoy in the body? Taurus is like, it's an earth sign, it's a fixed earth sign, it's sensual, it's just like, ooh, it feels abundance and pleasure in the body. And that is something that we're, kind of invite that's this goal, to feel it. There's victory without celebration, victory without gratitude, is just going to be like a quick dopamine hit that you're going to keep looking for more. And that's going to be then this endless crusade. So Um, that's sort of what, yeah, is in line with the astrology for the month. So Aries warrior first, and then into this receiving gratitude, hopefully once you've kind of got your victory there. So for you, Pisces, the interesting thing bringing Pisces in, so there is still some Pisces energy about right now. In April, there's a couple more planets that are still going to be moving in and sitting into Pisces. So you've kind of still have some of that energy, kind of supporting you, with your kind of normal Piscean energy. So you're still keeping in this water element, this emotional connection. So for you, this with that like Piscean sensitivity, and emotional connection to the energies and the emotions of other people, this sort of turmoil, this struggle might, like, you might be feeling a lot of mirrored events, like, I'm trying to explain this, like the things that are happening out and about, and either in the world, other in the community, other people's friends, the struggles that they are having, you may find that that's being mirrored in yourself, and that you're then invited to do this sort of adventure rescue process in yourself. And part of that is because you can't do it everywhere else. Like you may still be feeling all of this turmoil or strife, as we've just come out of Pisces season and that's your element. You may still be really like heavily steeped in that. And so instead of feeling this apathy and despair of, oh my God, there's so much out there, there's all these dragons, there's so many people in captivity, and you're feeling all of that, it's like then you may be then reflecting it and mirroring it and finding that part of yourself that looks like the struggle out there, and then you're given an opportunity to do that story, do that rescue, that fairy tale in yourself, so that you're not stuck in apathy and in despair by watching it happen where you can't necessarily impact it. It's both this reminder that you are part of the collective, but also that your problems are part of it too. So it's not like, so helping yourself and doing this rescue for yourself, it's not just something that you're doing selfishly because you can't help out there, you don't feel like it. This is what you have reached to help. And so it does ripple out, as you are just one less person who is in bondage and is able to then continue like rippling that out. So yeah, it may sort of feel like this, yeah, just like you're kind of in the hall of mirrors and feeling like, like this all feels mirrored up from what's happening out there and me, and that might feel kind of like overwhelming for a little bit. So try to really land into, at first, this Aries energy at the beginning of the month. Aries is is not super concerned with everything that's happening out there. Put it down for a minute, and it's just inviting you to be like, yes, okay, the Aries ego, it can be about you for a bit. Do your mission, do your rescue, and just kind of hone in on yourself, and then you can still understand that connection is still like connected. A little lame there, but yeah, so I think I'm just going to leave it with that. So yeah, just those main points of that rescue, looking at, you can look at it in kind of literal other figures in your life, but also just your kind of own internal characters of victimization and that which can hold you trapped there, and then that which is going to come and rescue you, all in your own psyche. We're going to be harnessing that Aryan warrior at first, but knowing when to stop, knowing what your victory looks like, and then really like settling in and feeling and receiving that with that Taurus gratitude towards the end of the month. And yeah, that this is going to feel kind of mirrored and almost deja vu with what's happening with you and what's happening out in the collective. So that's what's up for you, Pisces, this April. Sounds like it's going to be quite the adventure. And all of my love to you, and happy late birthday to you all.